because we were talking about a bunch of different stuff, is Dr. Kevin Schew. And Dr. Kevin took away, he is a cancer doctor that's, worked his whole career, but he decided to write a book, and he wrote a book called Bad Love Strikes Wins Best, and it was the best feature screenplay at the Prague Film Awards Film Festival. Dr. Kevin, thanks for stopping by. How did you go from, cancer doctor that I'm going to write a book?
Wow. So actually, so I've written articles, for medical journals and that kind of thing. And so I'm not a stranger to writing, but this literally happened late in 2018. I'm a World War II history buff. And so I was reading one of my World War II monthly journals, and I came across the story about the Phantom Fortress, which was a B-17 bomber that landed in Kortenberg, Belgium in the spring of 1944. And it landed all by itself. And the British soldiers standing there, they were trying to radio the cockpit. Plane came in and landed. No one got off the plane. I mean, Neil, it's like do 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 do. And so they drew straws, and this named John Crisp. 20 minutes later, plane is sitting in the field with its engines running, and John goes out to the plane and finds his way on board, and the plane is empty. There's no one on board. This is a true story. You can look this up in the history books. This is not fake news. This is a true story. And so John finds his way to the cockpit and figures out how to turn the engines off. But there's parachutes lined up against the fuselage. There's leather jackets on the floor. The flight plan is out on the navigator's desk. And so there's a story behind that. But to believe that a B-17 bomber from World War II, that the pilot and crew bailed out and the plane managed to land itself at a friendly airbase is a little stretch. So this is the answer to your question. That was the spark that it lit my imagination. And I'm like, I grew up, I said, maybe time travelers were on that plane and they got zapped back to the future right after the plane landed. And that was the genesis of me coming up with this idea to write the Bad Love series.
Okay, so to take us back, so just you got that idea and then you rolled with it. But again, did you feel like you had that creative mind? You know, kind of explaining, your doctor role, and as a doctor, you're wearing a different hat. Is this something you always wanted to do, yet you chose a profession, and
Yes,
this is kind of found yourself?
yeah, I've always had this creative genetic thing going on. My dad was a southpaw, and he started painting oil on canvas at age 70. And so my mother was very analytic. And to be a radiation oncologist, I have this physics and mathematic part going on in my left brain, but my right brain, I have my dad. And so, yeah, I've always been creative. When I was practicing, I practiced out in Denver, Colorado for about 20 years. Every year we would put on a show on Cancer Survivors Day, and I would write a script where the doctors, we would have a theme like Guardians of the Galaxy or the 1950s or, the psychedelic 60s. And so I would have the doctors ask each other questions, and the answers to those questions would be clips from songs from that era. My dad was a jukebox vendor in St. Louis when I was growing up. And so we had every 5 RPM record from the 50s, 60s, and 70s on our Wurlitzer jukebox in our basement. And it imprinted me. I have two older sisters, very popular girls in high school, and watched them dancing. And so I got imprinted with this music brain. And so, yes, I have that creative thing going on. All these books, Bad Love Strikes, Bad Love Tigers, Bad Love Beyond, Bad Love Medicine, they all have soundtracks of songs from the 60s and 70s. And so it's like the best music ever recorded.
Wow. All right. The creation of this a series, go figure, and then the screenplay. Does that have to do with one of your books or all the books, the screenplay?
Yeah, so I wrote the screenplay to Bad Love Strikes, the first book, and that screenplay it probably won about 10 or 15 awards. And then I wrote the screenplay to Bad Love Tigers, having learned what I did, what I could have done better on the first screenplay. Bad Love Tigers has won over 400 international awards screenplay. And then I went back and I rewrote the Bad Love Strikes screenplay. And now that's the one that you were visiting with me when we started that just won over in Prague. In fact, this week it just won in Paris. And so we have another press release coming out literally at 11 o'clock this morning Eastern time about the win in Paris.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And it's all coming to fruition, right? You've been working so hard and just things are just coming into place with the writing of your books.
Yes, Neil, I really believe this is one of those things of destiny. I do. I really believe that these books are very cinematic. When you read them, I'm a visual guy. And so as you read Bad Love Strikes or Bad Love Tigers, you can see this actually happening. So here's this ragtag group of teenagers, nine of which are based on people that I grew up with. And, here they are interacting with, World War II and taking the time travel machine. It's called the White Hole Project. You can actually see these scenes. And so I believe this is a destiny thing that these books and these screenplays will be on the big screen or a Netflix or Amazon series, one way or the other. It's going to happen.
I believe it will for you. I think that, it's just like it just happens, and you put that effort into it. So tell us a little bit about background without giving away the books, the whole series.
Yeah. So I gave you a little bit of a hint about the Phantom Fortress. So the story actually goes back to World War II. And so, as you know, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in December of 41. And in June of 1942, Roosevelt launched the Manhattan Project. And it was at the insistence or prompting of Albert Einstein, who told Roosevelt that Hitler was developing an atomic bomb and that we needed to be first. And so that's actual history. My storyline starts in October of 42, where Roosevelt invites Einstein to the White House. They were friends, and so they have dinner together, and Roosevelt says to Einstein, Albert, I'm concerned about Hitler getting the bomb first, and prudence would call for us to have a backup plan. So I'm commissioning you to build a usable time travel machine that we will call the White Hole Project. And we will only use the white hole in the event that Hitler wins the race to get the atomic bomb. And if we do win the race to get the bomb, we're going to seal the white hole off and not use it because I'm concerned that time travel would be far more dangerous than an atomic weapon. And so Roosevelt commissions Einstein to create the White Hole Project. And it gets built in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where we were processing plutonium for the first atomic bomb. It was called the Secret City, the city behind the fence. And so the K-25 plant was the biggest building under one roof in the entire world in World War II. And that's where we were processing plutonium. I mean, this has become, the national laboratory for atomic weaponry now, flash forward to today. But at any rate, they build the white hole at the same location as the K-25, and no one knows that we're building a time machine. They all believe it's the Manhattan Project. So we win the race to get the bomb. The white hole gets sealed off, and in 1974, this group of ragtag, rambunctious, rowdy teenagers out on a weekend adventure accidentally discovers a tunnel that leads to the White Hole Project. And like any group of 70s teenagers, I graduated from high school in 75. So this is why it happened in 74. So anyway, they learn how to use the White Hole, and the adventures begin. And so
Wow.
all four books in the series are about, they call themselves the Bad Love Gang. And so the Bad Love Gang of teenagers are using the White Hole to travel back in time. Now, one thing up until I'm writing Bad Love Rising right now, which is book 5, but up until now, the white hole will only take you back to World War II years because that's the way it was set up. And so you have these teenagers interacting with Area 51 and figures in World War II. And so you would say, well, why Area 51? Well, while Roosevelt and Einstein are at the White House in October 42 talking about, okay, so Einstein's like, well, President Roosevelt, you know, time travel really in theory can happen. He said, but we would have, it's like a funnel, and you have to be able to hold the funnel open for time travelers to pass through. And that would require something called exotic matter, which exists in physics, but we don't have exotic matter. And Roosevelt says to him, well, as a matter of fact, Albert, I think we do have exotic matter, and it's in Area 51. And so that's how the white hole gets built. There's a little bit of reverse engineering from things that have happened in Area 51.
This is such a fascinating thing. That's why you're winning these awards, sir. And I have a funny story. I was on doing my podcast. We do an AI type of breakdown for authors, teach authors AI, and it's part of a couple people really some interesting roundtable discussion. And then I went crazy, and because I'm such an AI junkie, because I'm so interested in technology, I use AI as a teaching tool to learn things, to help me build things like that. Can you create a time machine for me? I said a couple weeks ago. So go figure, we have this conversation now. And it told me how to create a time machine and what was possible. It says it's possible, but not really possible. But it gives you that standard of how it can be done. Have you ever looked into that? It's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. So, once you pick up the book Bad Love Strikes, you'll discover how that time machine got built, because they actually built it with 1940s technology, but also with the help of some reverse engineering from alien technology.
Uh,
And so yeah, there's a theme in the book series about blue exotic matter, which is what the exotic matter is that holds the funnel open. So you have to have a funnel, and you have an opening in the bottom and an opening at the top. And it's basically you're recreating a black hole. And so the at the top, it has to spin at the speed of light. At the bottom is now. And you have to go through the passageway and come out the other side. And so you can, that at least in theory, as I've read in research, that's how it would work. It basically is a black hole. I mean, think about this. This is my interview sheet with you. if you have a piece of paper and say that this point is Earth, and this point over here is a planet that's 10 billion light years away. It doesn't matter how fast your spaceship is. You could be in a Star Trek spaceship going at warp 7, and you would get 10 billion light years. You wouldn't make it. And so what you have to do is you have to fold the paper over, and then you have to go through a wormhole or a black hole from this side to the other side to get there instantaneously. And all of that is based on Einstein's theory of relativity. I mean, that's real stuff. And so how do you get from here to there? You would have to have exotic matter.
Yep. That's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but awesome in so many ways. And you said the feedback of the film. So how did you kind of say, okay, I'm going to write this as a screenplay as well? Just you just saw the books when you're writing them that they're going to be a series?
Yes. Yeah. Neil, I wrote Bad Love Strikes in 90 days. And then I wrote the next 3 books over the span of 24 months. And I've written screenplays now in the span of less than 3 years.
Wow.
And I find that screenplays are tougher. I can write a book faster than I can a screenplay. And and so, and I think it's because, every page in a screenplay is a minute of film time. So if you have a screenplay, for example, that's 120 pages, that's a 2-hour movie. And so you're condensing, like for Bad Love
Yeah.
Strikes, that's 100, that screenplay the most recent one is 119 pages. And so you have to condense. The book itself is 200 pages. And, and then you're putting in all these variables about how the scene looks. I find it, maybe other people would differ, but I find writing the books to me is easier than writing a screenplay because you have to condense everything.
It
And
definitely, yeah.
it takes longer to write a short letter than it doesn't take a long to write a
Well,
long letter, right?
yeah, exactly. And you have must have been pretty good at writing screenplays with your awards. So there you go.
Well, it's a newfound thing for me, but yeah, I think
And
it's the story. I mean,
yeah,
um, the book, it or the screenplay to Bad Love Tigers, it won at Cannes for the best original story. So, and that was the Cannes Script Festival, not the Cannes Movie Festival, but it won an award at Cannes for best story. I think it's the story. That's what I'm trying to convey to you and the audience is I think it's really the storyline that makes these screenplays win.
yes, I agree. It's definitely the storyline. And if you can get into a story and it really gets people hooked, I'm hooked in this situation because I could see and picture what you're talking about right now in a film or a series and say, oh my gosh, everyone's interested in time travel. Everyone's interested in seeing back in the 70s because they love certain time periods and high school and the ability to see how they came about this and how these characters grow throughout the series is perfect.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I have so much fun with that time period. I don't know what it is about my brain, but I mean, I can remember so many things that happened during that time frame in my life. And these characters, you know, it's really fun because I think that the audience of the movies or readers of the books, everybody can find a character that they can identify with. And you know, my so all the characters, Neil, have we have so much to talk. We could talk about this for hours, but I mean, all the characters have nicknames. So growing up in the 70s, we had there was no such thing as political correctness. I mean, we didn't
No.
have computers and handheld phones. You either went outside and played with your friends or a lonely kid. And so,
I think the 80s were like
all
that.
of
My
us had,
80s time period is almost similar to the 70s in certain aspects because we did play outside. We did specific things. It all kind of changed in the 90s.
yeah. Well, once there were handheld phones, I think it just changed the world. But anyway, that, and so my nickname growing up was Bubble Butt. And so Bubble Butt is the narrator of the Bad Love book series. But we had
Oh,
but we had Crazy Ike and Goondoggy. Goondoggy is this guy, somebody that I grew up with, and he's just fearless. I mean, Neil, did you ever know a kid growing up who just had no concept of fear?
yeah.
I
There's,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
we would play hockey on the creeks and ponds in the woods, and this is the guy that would go out and test the ice to make sure that we that it was strong enough to support our hockey game. And so and Crisco and Cleopatra, all these characters. So it's really fun. Anybody would be able to identify with someone in this cast of
No,
characters.
no, no doubt you could, and you've nailed it. I mean, and see, I don't know how many series you're watching, and that would be a recommendation for you, is to look at what's out there in the marketplace because there's not enough series, that's for sure. And the series that perform really well stay on forever in certain ways, and then they maybe end it in certain aspects. But it'll be the opportunity because I can see how this will develop. I'm a fan of Stranger Things, and that was taking place, I guess, in the '80s, and in a way, I think that the time period where people love the '80s, and I've been binge watching it a second time, and I enjoyed even more this time than I watched it the first time, and
So
that's crazy.
you would love this because I have a lot of my patients that read my book series and they come back to me and they're like, "Hey, Dr. Shuey, um, this kind of reminds me of Stranger Things, the way you've casted these characters." And so there have been parallels to that. My wife and I right now, this is kind of totally, it's a little bit off the topic, but
Doesn't matter
we
when
have
you come on my show that we can go off topic. Don't worry.
well, we're watching Ray Donovan right now,
Oh
which
yeah.
is a series of it's seven series. We're like hooked on it, and we're in like season five right now. But I've been sitting back and I'm like, why are we so interested in this series? And literally, it's because of the characters. I mean, there
Hmm.
are all these different personalities and characters and you can identify, you can be like, oh yeah, that would be me if I were
Yep.
in that situation. And so I think that cat I think in movies, I mean, God willing, I mean, I have Ron Howard do this movie, the Bad Love series on the screen. Apollo 13, for example, is my single favorite movie of all time, and
Mhm.
it's a Ron Howard movie. And so, I think having the characters, it, you know, Bubble Butt and Bucky are like, like Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. That's the kind of chemistry that and
Yeah.
Bucky's one of the guys in my book, and Bubble Butt, they have that chemistry of like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and because they're button heads, they're a different age, but they kind of get together and do some great things.
Well, I mean, I am rooting for you on this, and I think that if you have the passion to keep going and keep going out there and talking to people, I'm connected to a lot of celebrities. I'm very lucky in a way, I guess, building this for 15 years, and I all my own independent way, interviewing all these celebrities and contacts I have on a regular basis. I talk to people in this film industry, and I see the specific things, and they're really looking for good content period. And it's very hard to find it at times. And we're looking for great things. And I think the biggest thing, if you look in your books, and I'm sure you're a very bright man, you get this and understand this, is that there's conflict in the story, and a lot of there's a hero villain kind of going through the process to the end, and you keep them on the edge of your seat, you will hook them. A lot of
Yeah,
times, go ahead.
the villain is Borya Krovopuskov, and you know his name is to let blood in Russian, but Borya Krovopuskov, also known as Russ Krovo in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, but he is the arch villain that is kind of carried through the book. There are other villains, like Hitler is a villain
I love
in
it.
the book,
I
and
mean,
so
yeah.
but anyway, you're right. You've got to have that conflict, and they have they have conflicts among themselves. They tease each other to no end. Uh, so there's that political incorrectness in there, and then so they have the conflicts uh, amongst the group themselves, but their bigger conflicts are what's going on with their time travel.
And you're looking also at the whole process, thinking about, even some of Stephen King's stuff. You see how that works and how they made that work in so many aspects, his writing. And I could see that you're putting that development, you're putting all that together. Time travel adds, so you look at Back to the Future in ways, put a lot of historical stuff that people love, the 70s, and add that last component of, of specifically enough the villain and the heroes and a constant series. I see a big thing. So I know you can't announce certain things now, but I
Yeah.
guess what you were telling me off air was pretty exciting. A press release is coming out now. You can't announce that on the show if you're allowed to, about the press release that you just sent out.
Yeah, so it won best pilot script at the Clown International Film Festival in Paris, France. So it's a yearly festival, very well thought of, very, very well. And we just I literally got the award Monday morning of well, today's Tuesday. I either got it Sunday night or Monday morning. And so it's a year-long festival. This won Best Pilot Script, the Bad Love Strike screenplay.
So are you
So,
waiting for funding to start? Are you looking for funding? What is the goal, or getting someone to pick it up to
well,
get?
I really need like a studio. So I have some connections that are brewing out there, but I really need I need a studio to pick it up because this is not, I would not call this is not a low budget proposition.
No.
And so I need a major studio. I need Amazon or Netflix or Lionsgate or God knows Imagine Entertainment. Let's send that message out because I love Ron Howard. Ron Howard runs
Yeah, what
Imagine
you need to go
Entertainment.
do
So
is you need to go just
get your
find
bullhorn
somebody who
out.
knows. You need to know someone who knows Ron Howard, get it in his hands, and there
Yes,
you go.
have Ron
Figure
do
out that plan.
Have I
Yeah.
tag him on all look, I'm on Instagram at Real Kevin Shuey. I don't know if you do Instagram, but you've got to follow me, Neil, if you do, because I put these awards to music. If you watch any of my Instagram posts, you're going to see the creativity of Kevin Shuey with the way that I do my Instagram post. I have
Fabulous.
I have a little north of 100,000 followers.
Okay. Wow. So you're putting the time in.
Yeah.
You're very motivated by it. So I really appreciate it, Dr. Kevin. So the best place people can purchase your books and learn more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, have them go to my website, which is www.kevinshuey.com. It's KevinSchewe. I have a great website. You can go on there and you can actually watch the book trailers. There's a book trailer for all four books. It's like a 90-second movie, and that'll give you a great view of it. So www.kevinshuey.com and watch the book trailers. You can hit the buy tab on there, and it'll take you right to Amazon or Barnes and Noble. The books are in cover, paperback, Kindle, Nook, and even we've done Amazon Audible. You can listen to all four books while you're driving to the on your next drive, road trip.
All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it, sir.